Okay, so this week we are going to do some statistics, and it's going to be very basic, very easy to do. So your DeltaMath assignment has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections to it. The first section is finding the mean graphically, and it's guided. And so I'm going to show you what this looks like. And of course, when you're in here on these problems, there's this little link here that says watch video. You can always click on this and it'll tell you how to do these problems as well. There's also, I'm not sure if these have it on yours or not, where it says show example up here at the top right. But I'm going to go through these quickly just to show you one of each type of problem, to show you how you are to enter in your answers, because I know sometimes that's the difficult part, is figuring out how do I put my answer in so I can get the correct green check mark. Okay, so this first one says to find the mean, and I have sent you guys in your email all these vocabulary words like mean, median, mode, quartile, the lower, the upper, and so you need to make sure that you write those down, that you look at that, and so you know what these words are asking you to find. So mean is the average. So to find the average of 9, 3, 4, 2, and 2, we are going to add these numbers up. So I've got a handy calculator nearby. You can use Desmos or your phone or whatever calculator that you have, or you can just write them down and add them together. You don't even need a calculator to figure these out. You can just write them down and add like you did when you were in elementary school. All right, so when I add these together, I get 20. So it says, what is the sum of the numbers? Sum, again, is when you add them together. So I put in 20, and then I'm going to hit try. And so then it tells me what is the average value. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers. 20 divided by 5, because to find the average, you divide how many numbers there are. So 20 divided by 5 is 4. So we're going to try that value in there. So the average we got was the sum divided by the number of numbers I had. Then it says to type the values into the input boxes on the bottom of the graph. So this is the weird part, because we've already found the average or the mean, which was 4, but now they want you to do it graphically. So I'm going to take these numbers, this 9, 3, 4, 2, and 2. And now it wants us to spread out the values into even stacks. Again, this is the weird part, but it's not too difficult. So I know that my average is 4, so I got to make sure that each section gets 4 blocks. So all I'm doing is moving my little blocks around to make sure they have all the same height. So they told me that I'm correct, so I can click OK. And when I do that, I submit my answer. Are you sure? Yes, and I got my green check mark. So that's how you do the first set of problems to find the mean. You're going to find the sum. You're going to divide by the number of values, and then you're just going to put those little blocks in order so that they're all the same height. Pretty simple. The next part says to create a frequency table. And so a frequency table is how often is the values occurring. So they give you an interval, and they want to know frequency. How many numbers fall between 0 and 2? So I'm going to go through here, and if you click on the number, you noticed it went light gray. And you can click it again and it comes back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find all the numbers that are 0, 1, and 2. And I'm going to count as I'm clicking on them. 1 and 2, 3. So I have 3 numbers. So my frequency is 3. Under this box where it says tally, you're simply going to take your mouse and you're going to click 3 times. Now, the next interval is 3 to 5, so I'm going to go through here. I'm going to count all the numbers that fall between 3 and 5, so 3, 4, or 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one has 6 numbers. Hopefully I'm doing this correctly. I'm just going to double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And when you click in this box, it'll put those little tally marks for you. All right, a 6, 7, or an 8. 6, 7, or an 8. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 numbers that fall in that interval. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And all I'm doing is clicking in this box, and that's how I'm getting those numbers. All right, 9, 10, or 11. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. You can click on them and they fade away. You don't have to, but I just did for my own sanity there. Make sure I don't recount numbers again. And again, don't forget to click in this box. So the first time I did this, I forgot to click in the tally box and I couldn't get the answer right. So I'm hoping that you guys will watch this video and you will know, oh, you got to put the tally marks in there so you don't get confused. It's probably the hardest thing on this whole entire practice for this week is putting these little tally marks in there, which is not hard. You just got to click in the box. All right, submit my answer. Hopefully it's correct. It is. I got the green check mark. So that's a frequency table. How many numbers fall in these intervals? Just count the numbers and then make sure you click in the box to get your tally tick marks there. The next one is creating the histograms. Again, each of these problems has a video you can always watch. It tells me about the Fahrenheit temperature readings, yada, yada, yada. We need to construct and label a frequency histogram of the data with appropriate scale. So what you're going to do is, I don't care how wide your boxes are. You can do a width of 1 box, a width of 2 box. It does not matter the width of them, but they all have to be the same. So if the first box has got 3 across, your next one has to be 3 across. I'll show you that in just a second. So this one's got 2 days and the interval is 30 to 39. So when I look here, and you can zoom in on your graph, here's my 2. So you want to start at 2, and like I said, I don't care how wide your boxes are. Mine's going to be 3. 1, 2, 3. It could be 3 wide, it could be 1 wide, it could be 2 wide. It does not matter. Then you're going to click here where it says label, and my interval was 30 to 39. So I'm going to click on labels right here. This pops up, and you do 30 to 39, and then you click done, and it puts that label in there for you. The next one has a height of 28. So I'm going to zoom in so I can see my 28. I'm going to go where this box is starting, and the only way I think you can draw these boxes, I couldn't start down here and draw up and over, so it didn't do anything. So I'm going to click here at 28, and I want it to have a width of 3, so make sure you go over 3, and I'm still holding my mouse down. So you click and hold, still holding. Once you get to where you need to be at the bottom, then you can unhold. So click and hold. And that creates, start at the top, click, hold, and drag your box down. It's the only way that's going to work. And this has an interval of 40 to 49. And then make sure you click the done so it labels it here. So this has a width of 3, this has a width of 3. They have to have the same width. It's very picky. So you're just making a rectangle. If you screw up on your rectangle, just click it and it deletes it. The next one has a height of 24. So I'm going to go here where it says 24. And I'm going to click. I'm holding, dragging, 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 still hanging onto my mouse. Click down and then let go. There's my rectangle. This one is 50 to 59. So 50 to 59, done. So then put your label. The last one has a height of 2. So I'm going to go here to 2, click, drag, and then let go. This is 60 to 69. You got to put your intervals in there and you have to click done. So there's my histogram based on my table. Height of 2, height of 28, height of 24, and height of 2. That's my histogram. Make sure you put your labels in there. Make sure your histogram has the same width. Again, I could have done a width of 4, width of 2. They don't care how wide your bars are. Submit. Yes, got my green check mark. So that's how you do the histogram problem. All right, next is Boxplot. So hopefully you're taking some notes as we're going through this video, or you can stop, pause it, and do each section and then watch the part of my video that goes through each section. All right, watch the video if you want to, or you can just look through my video here. Answer the statistical measures and create a box and whiskers plot for the following data. So I need to figure out my minimum, and these are in order already for you from least to greatest. So the smallest number is a 4. My biggest number is an 18. Now to figure out your quartile 1, your median, and your quartile 3, you have to take this data and you want to cut it in half. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 numbers in my list. So if I go through and I find the middle of my data, and because this is an odd number, I know I could take 7 on the first half and 7 on the last half. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That takes me here. So there's 7 values there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. and there's 7 values here. So what's in the middle? 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, if you're trying to find your median and there's 2 numbers in the middle, sometimes that happens, you would have to take the average of those 2 numbers. Again, if there's 2 numbers in the middle, you'd have to take the average. This one only had 1 number in the middle. That leaves me 7 values up here, 7 values down here. So this one in the middle is the median, middle median. Now I take my lower half and I find the middle of my lower half. So there's 7 digits here, and so that gives me the middle to be 6. 6 is my lower quartile because it's the middle of the lower half of my data. And then over here, from 11 to 18, that was the 7 on top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the middle of my 7 is a 13. So my upper quartile, or Q3, is the middle of the top half, and you get 13. All right, so now to create my box plot, I just have to drag these lines, these points here, to match these values here. This represents my median, so I'm going to drag it to 4. Whoops. So that's my median. My Q1 is this bar here, and it's already sitting at 6, so it's good to go. My median is already at 10, so it's good to go. Q3 is 13, so I just had to slide that back. And my maximum is 18, so I slid that back. So this is minimum, Q1, median, Q3, maximum. That is your box plot. Submit. Yes, got my green check. And of course it goes through how you find each of those values. So you can always, if you miss it, if you get that red X right here, you can go through and see where you went wrong. Don't just keep guessing. All right, the next one is interpreting a box plot. Again, you can watch the video, but this one wants to know, using this picture, what's the value of the second quartile? And each question is probably going to ask you something different. So make sure you read it. This one wants the second quartile. So this is the minimum. This is the Q1. Second quartile is also known as your median. This is Q3. This is my maximum. So Q1 and Q2, that would be at 16. So my second quartile, also known as my median, is at the middle of the box, which is 16. So I got that correct. So I'm going to show you a new problem here. This one asks for the range. And again, on your notes page that I emailed you, talks about all the vocab, so you need to know all these different words. So range is from the minimum to the maximum. And it looks like these are counting by 5. So my minimum is 5, and my maximum would be 85. So the range is from 85 to 5, so you would subtract those. So 85 minus 5 is 80. I was just double checking that those were counting by 5s. All right, so I got that one correct, and it shows you minimum, maximum, and subtract. This one wants to know what percent of the values are greater than 20. So another thing that will be on your notes page is each of these sections represents 25%. So this is 25% of the data, this is 25% of the data, 25 and 25. So what values are greater than 20? So here's 20. So greater than is everything to the right. So that's this section, plus this section, plus this section. So that's 25, plus 25, plus 25. What's 25 plus 25 plus 25? 75. Green check. And again, right there, they show you each section is 25%. Now I'm actually going to screenshot that so I can add that into your notes page there. Cha-ching. All right. So each question will ask you something different. Just make sure that you read the question to see if it's asking for the range, the third quartile, lower quartile, things like that. Your last one is interpreting a calculator output. So on your calculator, if you had a TI-84 graphing calculator and you ran some stats, this is what it would look like. And again, I've given you guys all this. I've told you what all these values mean. Make sure you read that in the email that I've sent you. And so they want to know what the range is. So these are going to ask you a series of questions. Range, remember the definition, is the maximum minus the minimum. So in this case, I've got 182 for my maximum, and my minimum is 54. So 182 minus 54, the range would be 128. So each question is going to ask you something different. Read the question. And there we go. I'm going to do another question here. This one says this was another range, minimum and maximum, and find their difference. This one wants the population standard deviation. Population standard deviation, again, if you look at your notes that I emailed you, that's this value right here. That is population standard deviation, and it wants it to the nearest hundredth. So that would be 12 point, not 12. What is that? 15, sorry, 15.26. Because if I'm rounding that to the nearest hundredths place, that would be 0.26. Boom, got it correct. This one wants the mean. Again, look at your sheet of paper that I emailed you. Your mean is this X bar, and it also wants it to the nearest hundredth. So that would be 187.86. Boom. This one wants the interquartile range. That is on your notes page. So if you look back at your notes page, interquartile range is the difference between Q1 and Q3. So in this one, we've got 70 minus 57 is 13. So the difference in Q3 and Q1, Q3 minus Q1 gives you your interquartile range. Boom. So just make sure that you read what they're asking you to find. This one wants the range. That's your maximum minus your minimum. Interquartile range, Q3 minus Q1. And again, that's all in your notes. So that is how your assignment's going to go this week. And there's not that many problems. I think there's like maybe 18 total that I set up for you guys to do. Okay, 3 in each group, 1 of the histograms because they're kind of tedious. So just make sure you've watched this video, and that'll make this DeltaMath assignment very, very easy to do, hopefully. But if it's still giving you some trouble, just email me and then I can help you. But only after you've watched my, my video. All right.